everybody, and welcome to the new, official, and final Top 100 board games of all time. We've done at least 4 Top 100.
You give every game like a sentence, maybe a paragraph, and you go, yeah, fine, 98, done. No, 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 no.
I just don't think that's scientific.
No.
We need to do this one game at a time.
Slow and steady
Wins the...
might not finish the race. It means we have to make literally 100 of these videos before we finish the list.
More than 100 videos.
I mean, I'm sure we will.
because some things won't make it on the list.
But in future, there might be shortcuts. There might be double features. Who can say? There might be quadruple features.
Maybe some games will take up a block of 12 to 15 games in the list. Nobody knows.
How many versions of Dobble are there? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. In this first ever episode, Tom, what are we looking at?
We are going to be talking about Agricola, a farming game from Uwe Rosenberg, the king of lane tiles, breeding animals, making money. No, you don't make any money in this game. You try not to starve.
You try not to starve, yeah. So we're going to be spending this whole video with our first entry into our top 100. It's Uwe Rosenberg's Agricola. But Matt, what if I don't know what Agricola is, or how you play, or why I should be interested?
It's entirely likely that you don't know any of those things. So we've got a young man here to teach us the game very quickly and briefly.
Where?
Whoa! Hello and welcome to this little miniature teach of Agricola. This isn't going to be a full teach, it's just going to explain a little vague idea of how the game works so you can kind of follow along with what's going on. It's not going to be all the rules, but you don't need all the rules. Got Quinns on camera B.
Yo.
Hi Quinns.
Hi.
This is very weird speaking to you
Nodding
down the...
camera.
Yeah, let's teach a game. So in Agricola, you and your friends / your family are going to be playing subsistence farmers in the 17th century. How exciting! You're going to be trying to improve your farm over the course of the game, and everything's going to get you points. You get some wheat, that's points. You get some sheep, that's points. You turn your little wooden house into a stone house, oh baby, that's points. What Agricola also is an early example of a worker placement game. You will take your family members and you will put them onto the board on one of these worker placement spaces, taking the action there. But being on that space blocks anyone else from taking that action. So you can be canny with where you're going, knowing that someone else might want to renovate or expand their home this round. You could take that pleasure away from them. You bastard. Here's the thing that's clever about the worker placement spaces in Agricola. They sort of act as hoppers that will slowly accumulate resources round after round after round until someone takes them. And then as soon as they take them, all those resources vanish, and that's probably going to happen just at the exact moment that you actually wanted to take that space. Another big thing in Agricola is resource cultivation, of things getting bigger over the course of the game. You plant one wheat in a field, that's going to become even more wheat. You plant one cow in a field, that's going to do nothing. But you plant 2 cows in a field, that's going to become third cow. Another interesting thing about Agricola is that your board of worker placement spaces are going to slowly grow throughout the game. You're going to be adding more options for players to take as the game goes on, as they grow their family, as they have more actions to take on each turn. And at the end of these columns, there are these things called harvest phases, where you're going to have to feed your family, which is a hard task to accomplish sometimes, and also your animals will breed, your crops will produce more. It's a good time for everyone.
What if I want to renovate my home now?
Well, you can't. That's in the third, in this column, I think. Maybe it's going to be here. No, that's children. That's children this round. But maybe it'll be here. No, that's a quarry. So you have to wait all the way till round 7 before you can turn your normal house into a clay house. What a disaster. 2 final complications that I want to talk about in Agricola. This one is cards. The players are going to start with a massive hand of 14 cards representing occupations or minor improvements that they can make to their farm or themselves in the case of occupations. Playing these cards is going to shape your strategy. In the game that you're about to see, I'm going to do a lot of canoeing and making things good with fish. Matt's whole strategy was baking bread, and he didn't do that. So that's a cool thing. You're going to have this hand of cards, you're going to sort of plot out what you're going to do for the whole game from that first hand. Here's the biggest and scariest thing about Agricola, though. Other Euro games have players collecting bountiful resources over the course of the game, getting heaps of pumpkins and corn. In Agricola, you will perhaps have a single prized pumpkin that is your pride and joy, and you love it so much because all the resources in this game are super scarce, they're hard to come by, and maybe someone's just pinched loads of them from the forest out from under you. You've also got to feed your family, and if you don't feed your family, you have to go begging and you lose loads of points, and that's just sad.
What does the manual say?
The manual says what? It says, being a farmer ain't easy. Hold on, let's get a close-up of that. The 17th century, not an easy time for farming.
Wow.
You've just spent the last 2 minutes learning about Agricola. We have just spent the last 2-3 hours
Quite a long time.
completing a game of Agricola in which one of us won that game. Who was it?
This is middle chair Quinns.
It was middle chair Quinns.
You may be wondering why I'm in the middle and why I'm acting like a presenter. It's because this is rule 1 of the Shut Up and Sit Down board game top 100 final feature. It's whoever wins the game gets to present that installment of that week's feature.
Steady on. Whoever wins the game gets to sit in the middle. It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get to be.
Why do I have the question prompt cards?
I don't know. You did that yourself.
I really just like all that.
Very one of us can seize the questions at any time.
Well, you could try. I mean, you could. Don't. I'm going to start this conversation, this freewheeling conversation about whether Agricola belongs in our top 100, and if so, where. Starting with the following question. Is this game good?
It's a bold start.
Is it good? Come on.
I think it's good.
I think it's really good.
I think we
The council has reached an accord.
That's the last time we're going to agree in this entire...
Well, I'm hoping we'll agree that the games are good.
Okay, I'm going to follow this up. Is this game one of the top 100 board games of all time?
You've made that hard immediately.
I'm gonna stick. What that should. If you weren't prepared to answer that question coming here today,
I should justify the format of the show within the first few minutes.
I want to prove to the people at home we've got our together.
We've got no games on the board at the moment. It's going on there this episode.
That's not what I'm saying. The question is this one of the top 100 board games of all time? And I think yes, it is.
Okay, I'm inclined to agree.
Good. Don't mess this up for us, Matt.
I probably do.
Who lost the game?
Was it you?
I lost the game.
It was Matt.
But I'm a firm believer that if a game is good, you should be able to have a really fun time even when you're losing and you know you're losing. And I did have a really fun time.
That's true.
Even though I was losing and I knew I was losing.
What went wrong in your game?
Well, where to begin? So
you seem to have some animals and no vegetables.
So the animals was kind of a last minute panic addition to the farm because for most of the game I had nothing on my farm.
For most of the game, you had a completely empty farm and a huge stockpile of food.
Yes.
Yeah, your sort of power play at the start of the game, which you might well have a clip of, involves taking 4 sheep from the public market and inserting them all into your new fireplace.
Okay, so yeah, you have to either accommodate them or turn them into food.
Oh, you can turn them into food straight away though?
If you have the ability to turn them. Oh no! Oh, I didn't know.
Mutton, you say?
Please. Can we Rochambeau
For me not eating your sheep that you want to have living with
I
you?
want them so bad.
You weirdo?
I built a big kennel for them.
Yeah, we don't trust you with those sheep. Much better to put them to good use now.
Yeah.
I should have.
Yummy, yummy, and that
Oh, I'm sad.
Oh, the 17th century
it's
is
so
a bad
mean.
time to be Tom.
But do you want to turn them? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So much food.
I absolutely want to turn them.
So much food. I really regret building all those fences. Oh well.
Don't worry, Tom. There will be other animals.
Yeah, there better be.
Not many, but...
I can't be all turned into meat.
Okay.
It was more than 4 sheep. It might have been 6.
It was
5
a
or
lot
6.
of sheep. I think it might have been 5.
It was a lot of sheep. Tom wanted them
I wanted them
to put onto his farm in an enclosure, but I just bought an oven.
You wanted to put them in your tummy.
So I made like dramatic amounts of food, which I'm actually disappointed in myself for a whole bunch of reasons we'll come back to. But broadly, like, I think it's an interesting question of like, does it belong in the top 100 games of all time? Because I think it's a weird one, this, right? Because there is a degree of like, are we just talking about 100 games that everyone should play? No, that's not what the title of the thing is. It's got to be a good game.
Yeah.
It's also be like
An essential
an
game.
important game.
Okay.
It is an important
And
game.
I think it is.
But let's talk for a hot second about why this is important. What you do in this game, to be clear, you take one of your family members, you put it on a space, you get the thing.
Not at
I
the same
wanted to
time.
go there.
Exactly. Now, this Tom, the bad feeling Thomas is experiencing right now, that defines Agricola.
Meeting space. So I'm going to be first player. Thank you. Do you want that?
I really wanted that.
Well, you should have taken it.
Sucks
I
to
was
be
going
you.
to take it next. This
Guess
turn.
what I've made? It's a basket.
Way.
So
This game popularized the worker placement genre. It's like a hugely important game in history, but vitally, worker placement games since then have I was kind of excited to play this today because games have lost that part of what made Agricola such a magic thing with worker placement, which is you block in this game and it's like taking rugby tackles to the chest. Like, not like you guys didn't block me much, but there was no time placing a guy on the board that I wasn't thinking, do I have time to put this now? Do I need to get something else?
You're constantly nervous in this game, which actually does blend weirdly well into the theme of like, I'm a subsistence farmer and I need to buy the 1 cow at
remind
market.
me what the
for my
tagline
child.
of the game is again?
The 17th century, not an easy period for a farmer, which has changed. I think it's different on the front cover.
Yeah, I think it's time on the thing. Yeah, time. 17th century, not an easy time for farming.
Well,
It's actually a different sentence.
are we docking a point for incoherent branding?
yeah.
I think it's the...
We should have a running point total at the top of the screen right now.
Okay, I want to point out something though. I'm actually going to sort of let's take a pin, stick it in this idea of Agricola being mean or important.
Yes.
I have a question that I want to prompt because that is related to I think why this game has such a unique feel to me. Is it mean? Maybe.
I
But
like the
also,
idea of them being one axis. Does it mean, or is
too
it
important?
the question I have is this game funny? Which is a separate question to, do we laugh at this game? We laugh at lots of board games.
Yes.
Like, that is a weird thing the simulation just coughed up. The game designer probably didn't want that, but we think it's hilarious. I think Agricola is a funny game. The game itself is funny. We're not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
We're not reading humour into the text, it is in the text.
Correct, yeah,
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
get-go.
I have a shepherd's crook.
the power of shepherds compel you?
Well done.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, in a way. You immediately be like,
Holding
I'm retconning it.
I'll never financially recover from
You're
this.
like straight out of the Crooks Emporium and you're holding it like da 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 da, and you get home and you look at it and you're like, oh no, oh
Huge
no.
mistake. Okay, great. Guys, do I want a clay oven or do I want a cooking hearth?
Clip that.
Well, how is that? Yeah, how is that?
that's gold, mate.
It has become funny over time, but I reckon the very first publishing of Agricola was not a funny game. Now you're going to show me
So
a
you're
picture
saying-
of your priest.
You're saying that Uwe
No, I'm
Rosenberg
going to
is
show
not
you
funny.
the mini pasture artwork, which we'll get a close-up of later. Yeah, that is obviously just a funny piece of art. This is the new revised edition, which has a bit
Yes.
more character. I think Uwe Rosenberg has a sense of humor. I think when he makes a game in which you have to expand your house to have a baby and immediately put the baby to work collecting stones from the quarry.
Simple stuff like the whole wishing for a baby. The
That
fact
I
you-
think
the
is
fact-
I think that's in the revised edition.
Okay, well, what
I
was it
think.
originally?
I think it's just have a kid.
Well, you shouldn't be able to do it by sending one person to a place on their own. Like, that's not.
yeah.
And I mean, also, like, I don't know if the revised version added the bed in the corner, like the extra
Oh
little
yeah, that
side
might
bed.
corner.
the sleeping.
The
Yeah, God,
sleeping
we'll find
corner?
that
It's the sleeping
artwork,
corner.
which is just we're not even. Let's not get bogged down in this card. It's just an insane interaction of art and theme.
Yeah,
and mechanic.
absolutely. But then that's the thing is like you look at Caverna for example, like things like the cuddle room. It's like that's inherently supposed to be a little bit silly, a little bit funny.
I think with Rosenberg's games generally, or usually in the big decks of cards they have, there's bits of like dry humor or weirdness that he puts in
But
there.
I think that's the key thing is like as soon as you said, is this game funny? I can imagine lots of people who are like kind of on the fence with being fans of us were like, oh, because the amount of times we've been like, we love this game because it's really funny.
Yeah.
When it's like a dry Euro. But I think it's that perfect combination of having something that's quite dry in a way which leans itself into being very funny, but then also just has little flecks here and there. But when people try and be too funny, it stops
That's like
working.
the cuddle room.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like that's the game intentionally trying to have like goofs in it
Yeah.
almost. Whereas this is just like subtly like when we sort of all did like a polite golf clap on a very early turn.
Oh, yeah,
when
you
got, like,
made a basket.
I made a basket.
Out of the
It
gate,
was
made a
like-
basket, and we're so happy for you because to clarify, you start this game with nothing. Most Euro games are like, oh, you're an unsuccessful business, turn it into a big business.
Yeah.
But with this, it's like you have two rooms, you have no fields. The back-breaking work I had to do to plough a field, then get a
You
grain.
didn't do that work. You got your kids to do it.
And then, like, it's the thing of, like, if you have two sheep, they breed. But in the early phase of the game, especially if you get unlucky or you get ambitious, you might have two sheep and it's like you really want them to breed, but you just end up bunging one in the oven because you don't want to go
got the
begging.
Or if you get really unlucky, you go to try and get the sheep for the market, and someone's already turned them into a curry.
It's yeah.
You know?
I'm very sorry this
I'm
happened
so
to you.
sad.
It's.
But the headcanoning is a thing, and I think that's why, like, the fact that it's not. Sometimes we want more art, more theme in games, right? Certain games need them to bring them to life. But the fact that it's like all of the animals are getting turned into this disc symbol, which is just a plate with a spoon and a knife, and it's like nebulous food, meant that like I wasn't like making roast lamb or whatever. I decided I was turning all of these sheep into a curry.
Yeah.
And sometimes leaving that space for people just allows you to build your own imagination of what's going on. All right, I'm doing this. I'm gonna get some stone tongs.
You get more stone from the stone space.
Yeah.
Oh.
Some stone accumulation spaces.
Get it. Get it. Pay him
Well,
back
I
for the.
No. I want my
Pay him
own
back for the
thing.
sheep thing.
I'm not mean like you are. I want to
why
just
you're
be
gonna
nice.
lose.
Shut
Why don't you take those sheep before someone else turns them into a curry?
I'm tempted to.
You should.
I'll carry them for fun.
Next turn, 3 of them.
I don't even need the food.
Yeah, no, but like, yeah.
When I eventually have a baby, they're going to get like 8 booners before their naming day.
Just mincing it thinner and thinner into a sort of paste.
Boona. Okay.
Funnel full of
Fishing
Boona.
again.
I mean, this is kind of one of the games that fundamentally designed the idea of like, how about a game that by the time it's ended, you don't feel like you've actually done anything.
Wait, because this is a game where you actually get to build something.
This is true.
I think that's actually almost, Agricola is a big part of the original trend of like, hey, whether you win or lose, you're going to start the game with a house, you're going to end it with a farm. Might
With
be a crap
something,
farm.
rather than just points.
You can look down and be like, I made this.
Yeah. I think Caverna, we were touching on.
I made this disappointment.
I made this.
I think Caverna then expands on that feeling, but just that
Yeah.
feeling, in the sense that in Caverna it's like, you can build so many different kinds
You
of
can
rooms.
do whatever you
You
want.
can build whatever you fancy.
Yeah.
Whereas in this game it's like, I have built a room on my stone house. And that's a big deal in this game.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The difference between a player having an extra stone house to have a new baby in versus like someone
Trying to
just
get
having...
the reeds to build a roof in this day and age,
My
in the
goodness.
17th century. I mean, that's why it's funny, was really the points for me I loved mostly was people literally getting really stressed about trying to get a pumpkin. You know?
Yeah.
Because it really matters.
It's that we had a bit, I think it was, I was going to plant something and then I planted it and I'm just frowning at my board for 5 minutes. It's your turn. You haven't made your decision. And I go, guys, I'm really sorry. Can I take that wheat out the ground? And you were like, yeah, Quincy. We haven't done anything. It's fine. And I'm like, oh, thanks,
thank
guys.
God. And he's going to
'Cause I
break
was going to
instead.
die. Yeah.
I'm ruined.
Okay, this is a mean game. We agree it's mean. And
Yeah.
the reason I wanted to bring the discussion of whether it's funny is because I think to me a discussion about whether this belongs in the top 100 is about this game is a character. It's funny and mean. Nothing quite. We're playing this game how many years after it came out in like 2001 or something?
Yeah.
Nothing feels quite like Agricola still.
I agree with that. I think Caverna is close.
Well,
But
Caverna is like
I know, obviously
75% of the
same
same
game.
I know,
rules,
I'm joking.
Yeah,
Obviously,
sure.
it's the sequel that's
I
kind
mean,
of a bit less
every
mean.
Uwe Rosenberg game is a bit close.
That's very true. That's very true.
Except for Bonanza, although Bonanza is still
Bonanza's still
planting.
agricultural.
Pretty mean, and it's
Yeah.
agricultural. The question for me is, which is the meaner of the two, Bonanza or Agricola? Which is the meanest? The two meanest agricultural games in the world.
Agricola's meaner, surely. Like, in Bonanza, you are trading with other people. In Agricola, you're just preventing someone from getting something.
Yes.
That's the only interaction you have with someone else.
That's
is true.
Or unless
yeah.
you pass them one of those weird cards that's like, you get a cow, and then the next person gets a chance
I had
at
a couple
cow
of
as
those.
well.
I had a couple of those cards that I did
very
not
odd.
play the whole game because I did not want to give Matt anything.
I think the thing about this that's interesting is it's the build-up, it's the spillover, it's the fact that the resources that sit on the spaces, if they're not taken, they just amass.
They get juicier.
Whereas lots of games will have a thing where, like, if no one's taken this action, maybe put another thing on it, like a coin or something. So it's like, just a general way of making something a bit more tasty. But the fact that it's not just that, the fact that it's like, oh, well, I'd like some clay, but there's only one clay, because one gets added each turn.
Yeah.
And then, like, 4 or 5 turns later, it's the fact that not only are you going, oh, sure, I'll take that for the bonus, it's everyone wants to wait for something to get juicy.
Yeah.
So that then when you take that action, it feels amazing. But it
Yeah.
means that fundamentally, there are all these different things that you can do, which should mean in like a 3-player game of worker placement, we don't have that much conflict. But there's always so much conflict
Yes.
because it means that these pots of goods are stocking up, and then like everyone wants wood on the same turn.
You know what else? How many Euro games have this space? You can put
Yeah.
one of your 2 workers here and you get a small benefit, but most importantly, you get first player. That's in like so many Euro games and it never feels good.
No.
In this, I was genuinely excited to do it. That's how tight this game
The way it
is.
interacts with the resource spillover as well, it's like
Yeah.
snagging first player on a turn, knowing that no one's going to be able to
Yeah,
act until
yeah,
it comes
yeah.
back to you, and then you get a really big splash
Yeah.
of resources. Oh, feels amazing.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's just-
and then it's also a question. Like, if I take first player, right, and then it's your go next, you're like, do I take that thing because I know it's going to be really good for Tom next turn?
Yeah, yeah,
It's like you're
yeah.
trying to cut me off at the pass. Like, oh, that's
Yep.
incredible. That's so
agree,
juicy.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I don't think it was that mean. Like, I think a lot of the time we were just taking stuff because you couldn't, apart from me turning all of the sheep into food.
That's true.
Which was slightly mean, but also, I
Very
think
funny.
the reputation that I'd heard about for this game was it was a game where like it's mean, it's hard, you're struggling to feed your people, and I kind of, many ways when I was playing this, because for the record, like today was the first time I played Agricola. Like it's one of those classics that I've saved myself little snacks, little breadcrumbs for every now and then when you're like, you need a little
You
pickup.
really need a good classic
Yeah, you're like,
game
I want
that
to
you
play a
haven't-
really good game. You can go back to a classic, and almost always you think, yeah, this is great,
Yeah.
and this is definitely great. But I was so worried, I think, about all my people starving. I just had so much food at the start of the game.
Well, you and then
because everyone was like, yeah, people go
People are gonna
hungry. I'm like,
starve.
not mine, not mine.
When you
But
arrive
then-
at the final act, you had so much. I was starving the entire game and won because because food is useless except for. So you just want to. It's like hitting the racing line. Like you want to have empty plates. And hit the next corner. Empty plates. It is really good to go back and play the first worker placement game and be like, this is so much better than worker placement games that came out this year. Like the crunch of like just weighing up what space you want and someone taking space and it being
really like and it's not that sort of like slightly watered down worker placement thing where you can still go but you have to pay them money. It's like you just can't.
No,
and it's like
what do you want versus what you need.
It's like I keep going back to that Big Sheep heist, mainly because it really stung, but also because I think that it's juicy because it's like it's the correct play because it denies me something. It's correct because it gets Matt a lot of food, but it's also like for a game that's about upswing and like trying to like build an engine.
Trying to build a bicycle at best.
Yeah. Well, then I guess pilfering that is the equivalent of Matt pouring a bunch of like sand into my engine.
Also, hey, I really like these cards. I feel like other Euro games would be like you can draw additional cards. In Agricola, it's got this very weird thing of rather than like start with 4 and get 1 a turn, you start with 12 and like
14.
Oh,
14, 7 of each.
And so the first round of the game is not even really turn 1. It's everybody looking at their 14 cards and coming up with a plan.
Yeah.
It's like,
we had like a long period of complete silence before the game where everyone looked at their cards and went,
yeah.
And then someone would look at something and go, oh, no, and move it to like the back of their hand. Because they knew that, that's for like later on.
It was effectively silent, solitary drafting.
Yeah.
Where you get given these cards and then you just choose the ones you want and then you keep the rest of them for the rest of the game. Like,
I will go to the lesson space and get this harpooner. Each time you use the fishing accumulation space, you can also pay a wood to get 1 food for each person you have and 1 reed.
Wow, you know we're farming and not just like fishing.
he's not. He's harpooning herring. Not much of it left. Put it in the pot.
I'm speccing hard into fishing. That's my game plan.
But then to be fair, I looked at mine and I had this whole thing which was like, well, this means that every time you bake bread, this happens. And this means that every time you do this, you bake bread. And I was like,
bread strat.
I was going big brain bread strat. And then immediately I made a gigantic curry. But then I realized the problem I had, and this is maybe my only thing about the game, which I was like, I mean, is there like a drafting mechanic in an expert version of it?
I think so, yeah.
Good, because I mean, the only thing I had was all of my cards were just to do with making food. And so it was just, everything was like, you want more food? And I was like, I've got food. I need something else. And then you kept doing things with, somebody did something with iron or
stone.
Mud.
There's no iron in the game.
Just in this game, you can play a campaign of Agricola. Look, it says campaigns, where you play like multiple games, where you get like campaign points for winning.
Wow.
And you can like keep cards between
Winner
games.
of each game because the starting player in the next. The player who ends up in last place starts with an extra food.
You could not afford to keep the lover between games.
Each player gets to keep an occupation they played in the previous game for the next.
That's like you passing down a trade to your children. Oh
Okay.
yeah, there is drafting. There's drafting, point
genuinely,
drafting, a living hand of cards, team play, and house rules.
Wow. Okay, here's what I was
House
going to...
rules. Do what you like.
Yeah, just play with the wooden pieces.
Okay, I think this belongs in the top 100, but we can return to that question. I had one more question I wanted to ask, which is, would you guys have this game in your permanent home collection?
I currently have it in my permanent home collection.
I have games I would get rid of for this new revised edition.
Really?
I'll tell you why. It's because you know how much I like expansions. Right?
Oh no!
Agricola has superb expansion support. Importantly, the big box expansion for the revised edition, Farmers of the Moor, adds, I know you're excited about this, peat that you have to cut from bogs.
Yep.
Why do you want peat? Because in addition to every harvest phase you have to feed your family, you have to heat your house. And I'm just here for it. Come on. Also, there are like 4 separate decks of cards you can buy individually that then massively enlarge this deck for advanced strategies. I'm here for it.
So you can be like a hairdresser, a milkman.
Yeah.
There's something there that I like. I was thinking about this where, you know how each round of the game has a certain selection of cards that can possibly be in that pool. So these first 4 cards have to be these cards. You shuffle them up, but they're in a different order, but that's always those 4. There's something that's nice and almost knowable about the arc of this game, where like I played this relatively recently.
I really like that, yeah.
And there's something about the way that I was ramping up, like I sort of knew that those last few turns would be really good for me because I was ramping up my child engine towards the end.
And then getting ready for the cow market.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
Eyes on the cows.
But I think that shape to it is something that makes it like replayable in a different way to a lot of Euros, where it's like there is a known quantity of this game that you'll like. The cards add weirdness into, but you're still fundamentally dealing with the same structure every time.
The same structure, but it's not fixed. That's what I like so much.
Yeah, it's a little liquid, but not. Yeah.
I often say, like, some of my favorite card games involve just pure random chance. Like, tons of strategy, but pure random chance. And it's such a peculiar thing that just to have, like, the 3 round 1 cards, and 3 round 2 cards.
4 round 1 cards.
Yeah, or 4. Yeah, Christ. So I guess 4, 3, 2. Like, so that you can't have a perfect build strat. You're sort of just your fingers crossing and hoping. Yeah. And for a game that's so rigid.
And that brutality of being like, well, I'm trying to get ready for my maximum child strat. That requires you to have built a bigger house and all of this. And when you can do these things, being like kind of slowly bleeding in, you might have the resources, but then somebody else might do it that round, and then it's just.
And I think the arc of the game means that at the start, small things feel really big. In a way that, like, I think you can really lose that in Euro games that are super point salad and fire hose of like bonuses popping off all the time. But like on that turn where I got to upgrade my house, like I upgraded my house once and then the next turn I upgraded it again.
To stone. Got a clay house.
Yeah, got a clay house.
And a stone house. You filled that stone house with babies.
But that feeling of like doing that on one turn, that was like towards the end of the game where you can do those bigger things, and it really feels like you've earned it because your whole game has sort of pointed towards that point. Nice.
Looking across my bountiful fields of wheat now, you might not even own this cow in a shed. You might not even remember when I first placed my first grain in my first field, and let me tell you, it was backbreaking labour. But it felt like such a reward. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, also, the beauty of there was a round later in the game where I had to go and just take like forward, which felt so rubbish at that point. It was like 2 rounds before the end of the game, and I'm like spending a whole action to be I need a handful of wood just to make a small fence, and it was like this.
So that my fields don't count as being completely empty.
We haven't even talked about the funky geography of this, which I'm sure expansions make more impressive. But making squares or doing different things with your fences. This is Shut Up and Sit Down really likes Lowlands, which uses this fencing system. I really like it. Separately, I did have a final question written down here, which is, why are these wooden animals that come with, if anything, I think maybe the biggest, or not the biggest, but an argument to get this game in the permanent top 100 that we are doing, the scientific and final.
Because you get to own all these tiny wooden animals?
These wooden animals, I think, have a strong case for being the most beloved board game component of all time. Like, never mind meeples. Meeples are fine, but like these wooden animals, how many games have you seen these in?
The little wooden sheep are if we're ranking them, sheep is at the top, followed by cow, followed by boar. I
want to get pumpkin in there.
Oh yeah, pumpkin's pretty damn good.
Pumpkin is not an animal.
But it's a vegetable, and and you need them as well.
Vegetable, mineral, or animal.
They've got mineral.
Choose, and they will fight. So I think you're right, and I think that actually this is really interesting because I don't care about meeples at all either. And one of the strange things I've noticed over the years is there's a lot of love for meeples and meeple-based things and meeple-based paraphernalia, and everyone loves meeples. I do not care about them.
They're not a handsome component.
No, they're not. I don't like them. I just think they're fine.
Very handsome.
However, these are great. But that makes sense because like Quinns loves animals, so it makes sense that he loves tiny wood animle.
And he hates people.
I'm not really bothered about animals, and I really love them as well. Like, bonjour les vaches, they're just little like cute little things.
The fact that inherently I made a little moo noise when picking up the cow proves the quality of the component.
So this is what I mean when I say this game is a character. Never mind the fact that this game set all of Euro games on a trajectory when it first came out. It's that innovative. But it's mean and funny and has animals. Like, it feels like a fully 3-dimensional person, if I can be kind of like highfalutin about it.
No, I agree. I think that's a good assessment of this little box.
Is it time to reveal the board?
I mean, I think we all agree that this game does go on the board. It is a top 100 game.
Let's get the board out.
It's an important game.
Can we point out that
Tom
actually...
Don't point out my gamer injury.
I was able to beat Tom despite him wearing his power glove that makes him better, at board games.
Makes me much stronger.
It means you can pick up things with precision and speed.
I'm from far away as well. I can straight into my hand.
Okay.
All right,
let's bring out the board.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
For the top 100 inaugural unveiling of the top 100 super high-tech scoreboard.
This is altogether too good.
This is crazy. This is really high-tech. Bum, 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 bum. Whoa.
It might fall over.
Oh my god.
We got it.
Da, da, da.
Yeah, you let's see the dice tap. Do this. You have a pen?
So, we have a pen. What number are we going to put it at?
We're going to put it at number 1, Matthew. Wait, no, hang on. No,
it's the only one.
Yeah,
Well,
don't put a number.
We don't know how the list works yet.
Does it not have a number?
Just put down the... no. Does it? No, it doesn't. Why would it have a number? Because then we can't...
Whoa.
You might have to hold the board. It's a bit working.
Wait, why? What? You've written it sideways and giant.
Give it an underline. Yeah, there we go. Oh, lovely. Can you draw a little Uwe Rosenberg's face as well?
Yeah.
Is that him? Or is that looks like a sheep?
Yes, that's
It's
one
both.
of
It's both.
Matt, how long did you spend on this board? You know what? You don't actually need to answer that.
I was
My
calculating.
question is, how long did you spend on that? Like, could we not have, like, in a
It's
line?
work in progress. Next time you see this board, it's going to be so much better. All right, what number are we going to give it?
We're not going to give it a number.
Well, if we have to,
have to,
if we
because
have to, it's number 1.
It has to be number 1 until we get another one.
Oh, right. Okay, I see.
And then we have 1 and a 2. Or maybe that's not how this works. Maybe we don't give it a number.
Well, I think
What are we
that
doing?
this is where we're working out how we're going to do our list. Because I think the way that it should work is that when we put things in, they get
moved around.
They go above or below, but you can't move something. You can't hop something over something retroactively. So let's say our next game is like Monopoly. We put
It
it
has
here,
to go
right?
somewhere.
Yeah.
Then Monopoly is above Agricola.
No, below Agricola always.
Wait, but the bottom, close to the bottom is better because it goes like
Yeah.
10,
What
9.
are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Because it's a top
No,
list. so
one
you
should
do-
be at the top.
But Monopoly gets 100 points because it's the best game.
Yeah. That's because we're doing it purely based on copies sold, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
okay, no, Tom is right. If we were reading this, it would be a thing because it's an object.
Top should
top
be
game.
up here in a sort of throne.
You
So
have-
it doesn't have a number, but at the moment it's number 50.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is it
Right.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
middle?
Yeah. Right in the middle. Perfect.
Boom. All right.
Well, thanks
That's
for
it.
watching.
Well, that was it. We'll put it away. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Thank you
can
for watching.
Can you close it up?
Top one. There isn't a
There's not a
mechanism
mechanism
for
for
that.
closing it. Okay.
Not made of money.
Yeah. Let's seal them in.
Matt, would you like to carry that away? Okay, thank you very much for watching the inaugural episode
Thanks, folks.
of the Shut Up and Sit Down Top 100.
Oh, ow.
Next week, it'll all be hotting up.
We're not doing one next week.
Than a
though.
Grick.
We're not doing one every week,
don't we
you
release-
mad man.
That's crazy.
Agriculture, who knew?